Howdy folks, Crazy Jason here, and
Magic Hour Movie Man.
Yep, and we are outside the theater here in Wilmington, about to go in and see Prometheus, the new Ridley Scott film, in 3D.
Yes, got my extra pair of 3D glasses, so I was carrying them with me because
Never know.
Sometimes you get these glasses and they've got fingerprints, scratches on them.
That's not the real reason. No, it's so that he can pay for the 2D ticket and sneak into the 3D show. Right. Cat's out of the bag. So what we decided to do is we're just gonna have our thoughts before we go in, because we're both spoiler free.
Right.
We're both big Ridley Scott fans, and after the movie we're gonna sit down and do an in-depth review.
Now, I've seen the teaser trailer. That's the only thing I've seen. Have you seen?
At
least the teaser trailer?
I've seen the teaser. I've seen the full trailer. So I don't... You've seen the ship, right?
No.
Okay, I'm not going to say anything else.
Okay.
Man, I can't say anything. Can I say...
Here's what I was thinking, is we could talk about maybe what... Since we're basically spoiler-free...
Okay.
Anyway, since we're basically spoiler-free, talk about what we're expecting from it.
Yeah, let's talk about Ridley Scott.
Or we could talk about Ridley Scott.
We're going to talk about both, you know?
All right. Well, here's what I know. I know this is not going to be a horror movie in the vein of the Aliens movies.
No.
This is just stuff I remember reading from way back when. It's supposed to take place in the same universe of aliens, but I'm not expecting to see any aliens. Nothing popping out of chests, things like that. So I'm expecting more straight sci-fi.
I'm expecting to see some aliens.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I am actually.
That'd be a nice surprise, but I'm not going to expect.
Do you want me to tell you my theory?
Sure. Yeah, as long as it's a theory and it's nothing you've read or seen.
Theory is that they're going to meet the race that created the aliens. That's my theory.
I'd be down for that. That sounds good.
And it also, I mean, I don't know. I know this is a quasi prequel, but I don't know, man. I'm more excited about this film. This is my most highly anticipated film of the summer.
It was for me too, or it is for me too.
I mean, it's right up there with Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
So,
I'm also interested to see what they do with the 3D, because I do remember reading early on Ridley Scott was excited about 3D. I think he phrased it as it reinvigorated him as a filmmaker again. So that, I'm interested to see what he does with the 3D.
Yeah, you texted me yesterday, you're like 2D, 3D, and I was like, post or was it shot for it? And when you said Ridley Scott was excited about it, I was like, boom, 3D. Right. I mean, it could bothers my face, but it's like Martin Scorsese with Hugo. Got to see it in 3D. Expecting a great movie, that would be nice. But
you don't want them too high, because you don't want to come out depressed. When it doesn't meet your high expectations.
You don't, especially when I gotta go and sleep alone in a fetid hotel room. We talk a lot about the weak third act. The plagues movies of the last, what, 20 years?
Yeah, it shows up in a lot of films, unfortunately, where it's a great movie and then the third act falls flat and it leaves you with a bad taste in your mouth for the whole movie.
Yeah.
It happens a lot, and I believe, somebody will correct me, I'm sure, but I believe this is written by some of the guys from Lost, right? What's his name? Lindelof. And Orky, is that the other guy?
I think I remember the two guys that wrote Star Trek.
Yes,
the latest Star Trek incarnation. That could be good or bad.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
It could, because it could be pablum or it could be deep.
Right? Didn't they also write Cowboys and Aliens?
Oh Jesus!
So yeah, there's a.
I know one thing. It's not written by Dan O'Bannon, unfortunately.
Right.
May he rest in peace. That guy didn't get enough respect in his lifetime, I don't think.
Yeah.
But we'll save that for another chat, because we're talking about Ridley Scott. And Ridley Scott, his style has really changed over the years, which is appreciable because, I mean, you know, like Woody Allen, he went through his phase in the early 90s with handheld work, so I can appreciate a man who, in his 70s being jazzed about 3D.
And I think he still makes solid films, too. I mean,
yeah, he does.
He's a good filmmaker. Even a bad Ridley Scott film, to me, there's usually something visually interesting about it.
Really? Even A Good Year?
I have not seen A Good Year, so I can't speak on that one. But I can speak of 1492 and
1492.
Black Rain, which I actually like Black Rain.
Yeah, me too.
Some of his lesser known, I guess, movies.
I enjoy both of those movies, but you're right. I mean, those aren't movies I would hold up as great movies, but
yeah, Matchstick Men is a flawed film, but
it was good,
beautifully shot. Yeah,
it was enjoyable. So, yeah, so those are our thoughts going in, right?
Yes, high hopes, but we don't want them too high. But
right, don't want to be crestfallen.
Right.
But we'll be back in another venue to give the review after the film. So stay tuned for that. Ting. All right.
Exactly.
Let's see here. It's not very comfortable, this chair. I think you got a more comfortable chair.
You told me to sit here. I just do what I'm told.
Yeah.
I just show up for the job.
I noticed that. Exonerates you from all responsibility, doesn't it?
Exactly. That's what I've learned in life.
Good. Howdy, folks, and welcome to our brand spanking new cable access show.
Channel 41, cable access.
Yeah. Enjoying the backdrop and the lighting. We're coming to you not live from my dumpy motel room in Wilmington, North Carolina. And we just came back from a late showing of Prometheus.
Yeah, it's closing in on 2 o'clock, I think. 2 in the morning.
And I have officially been awake for close to 40 hours now.
Cheers.
So my thought process may be a little off. So I have an excuse for my opinion. You have an excuse for yours?
No, I don't.
Just going to be straight up.
I'll just be straight up.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is what we did, folks. This is the interesting part. How long has it been?
We got out at, what, 12? 10 after 12, something like that?
Yeah, it's been close to 2 hours, and we had to go to Walmart, we had to go to McDonald's, and we have not talked about the film. I don't know what he thinks, and he doesn't know what I think. We've saved it.
It's been killing us.
Yeah.
Absolutely killing us.
Yeah, but we've saved it for on camera, so that we can hopefully agree or be surprised. So let's find out. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna close my mouth and let you speak first.
All right. So first impressions after seeing the movie. I enjoyed it. I did not love it. There's things I really liked about it, but overall, I think I have to say I wasn't really invested in the characters, so that hurt my overall enjoyment of the movie. There was a lot to like, though. I think it looks great. I think the 3D looks great. It's atmospheric 3D. It's not, in your face, pointy 3D. That's my overall take. You want me to get into specifics now, or do you want to go to your overall impression? Because I think overall, I just liked it, didn't love it.
I agree with you for the most part, actually. So
okay.
I'm gonna say that here's my opinion. Ridley Scott. It felt like he didn't know exactly what he wanted to do. It felt like a movie that didn't know what it wanted to be. Did it want to be an alien movie? Did it want to be an action movie? Did it want to be a horror movie? Or did it aspire for 2001?
Right, the existential.
Yeah, it started out aspiring for something great.
Yeah.
And it was slow moving at first. I tell you, the first 20 minutes were boring. I was a little concerned.
I love the opening scene.
The opening scene's cool, but
I like that.
And then we started to get into some story, and it started to get exciting. You're right. When it comes down to it, it's like what we said before we went into the theater. Our thoughts before we went in. Weak third act. It wasn't not a weak third act. It's like it sort of fell apart as it unraveled, as the questions that were posed about life and creating life were not answered in an epic way.
Right, they were making promises they couldn't fulfill.
Exactly,
basically.
exactly.
Yeah.
Which creates pretentiousness.
Exactly.
So,
now, what did you think?
And towards the end, I started to dislike it because I realized I wasn't invested in the characters. I didn't know who half of them were, really. You know? It's like they're and you know, they start speaking to each other in meaningful ways, like, well, I bet you, da da da, I'm going down with the ship, you know, whatever bullshit. And it's like,
that was,
like we're supposed to be like, oh no, Red, don't do that. That's not a character's name. I just made it up.
How spoilerish can we get in this review?
Okay, folks, here's the thing. We're about to get spoilerish. So, if you want to remain spoiler-free, you need to go ahead and go away and come back and finish this review after you've seen the film. Now, I'm going to count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Go.
All right.
Spoiler commences now.
It's a fan fiction about the space jockey. That's my overall take on it. That's what it felt like to me. It's like fan fiction.
You knew the space jockey was going to be in it?
I did.
Okay, that's what
I don't know why I remember.
That's what I was mouthing.
Oh, okay.
I figured, I was like, surely he saw that in the trailer.
I think the teaser, there was something that clues it in.
Yeah. I mean,
it's not, I must have heard it somewhere.
It's a cool moment, but if you're going to do it, go for it. It's like with the aliens, too. It's like, if you never saw the original Alien, you know, the originally designed Geiger alien. But yeah, they had all these different creatures, or, you know, I didn't really know what they were going for there, to be honest with you. I think.
Well, what I gleaned from it was this race that supposedly created us was developing basically biological weapons with these aliens.
Yes, I got that.
And they were going to destroy us for some
reason. But like,
reason?
for instance,
I don't know.
We had this guy who was a human and then he sort of turned into a monster.
Right, he was infected with, I don't know if like the vials were different types of biological
I guess, things? Yeah, like each of those, what you call vials,
vials, vases, vases.
Each one a different
or variations
virus
of it or
whatever,
something.
I don't know, whatever,
That's
organism. Or, you know, that's a good theory. You've got all these different vases, but this is the same ship that we see in the beginning of the movie Alien. And there's nothing there but the eggs and the facehuggers. Well, I mean, I guess the argument could be made, well, that's all they saw.
Right. Or it's another one, a different ship, because don't they make a point that there's other ships on this planet?
They do, but I kind of got the idea that because of the way the ship landed.
Crashes at the end, I did.
They made a big point.
I'll tell you what I did really like in the movie is Michael Fassbender as the android.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons to see the movie.
Yeah.
He's fascinated with Lawrence of Arabia.
Yeah.
And he styles his hair and, you know, the cadence of his, the way he speaks. He's basically trying to do a Peter O'Toole impersonation through the whole thing, but it works. I mean, it's an interesting choice for that character. Like, if I cared about anybody, it was him. Me
too, because they actually made a character there, and he played it very well.
Yeah.
I did enjoy it. I'm saying all of these nitpicky negative things, but that's only because, one, I'm a huge fan of the Alien franchise, and two, I'm a fan of Ridley Scott. And the thing is, you're going to be like, hey, why are you complaining so much? You know, because this is why. Because
this movie was a prequel to Alien.
It was.
You know, and I
didn't
was a little disappointed by that.
Yeah, didn't they actively, like, try to promote this as not being a prequel, but...
I think they wanted to confuse people so they would be surprised, you know. But again...
But that just frustrates me.
Yeah, it's a movie that he didn't know what he wanted to do with it. I mean, or maybe the studio was involved. I don't know the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
They may have been pushing for. It did kind of feel like there were fingers in the pie, rather, didn't it?
Right. There's like one camp that wanted it to be more straight up
Alien.
sci-fi.
Yeah.
One camp that wanted the alien horror aspect.
Yeah. Either Ridley Scott himself was confused as to what he wanted, or there was a lot of studio interference because it's a mixed up movie. That being said, it was entertaining. I was entertained.
Yeah, I'm glad I saw it. And I'm glad I saw it on the big screen because it's a beautiful
Exactly. Now, if you want eye candy, you want something good 3D, it's good, but man, you just start craving. Towards the end, when you realize this is not going to be an epic science fiction film, you know, a quarter of the way through, you still have hope. You know, you still have this hope because they're posing the questions.
Yes.
They're making the promises.
Yeah.
And you're like, if they can answer the questions, if they can live up to the promises, then this could be one of the greatest science fiction movies ever made.
Right.
But deep down inside, you're like, they just can't do it. They can't do it anymore. They can't make movies like that anymore.
And you are kind of asking for trouble when you're kind of setting up that there's going to be the answers to life in this movie.
Where did we come from?
Right.
You know, who created us?
Right.
And but you know, you get to the space jockey. You found they make this big thing. They're going to go talk to the one survivor, the one surviving space jockey, and you go to him, and he just turns into this murderous beast animal. Yeah. I mean, it's just
right. They does something really interesting there.
Yeah, there's like no intelligence about him. You know,
right.
There's no communication. There's a brief. I think the android says something to him in his language.
Right.
And then he just rips his head off.
Yeah, I don't think he even responded other than ripping his head off.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
Yeah, we warned you about the spoilers, so...
now, one thing that is, as far as effects, that was terrible in this movie, I thought, were the makeup effects on Guy Pearce.
Oh.
As the old man.
Yeah, that looked like Amazing Stories from the 80s or something.
It bad.
Yeah.
I don't know why they just didn't cast an old person in that role.
Yeah, it was weird. It really was the old school makeup of making a guy look old, and it was strange.
It looked like Little Big Man. You ever see Little Big Man, Dustin Hoffman?
No, I never saw that.
He's like 100 or something years old, telling his story, and that was made in what, late 60s, early 70s, and it looks like the same makeup job. We should have progressed in our,
or what I think of
makeup effects. By
you may have seen either the old Star Trek series and the Next Generation. They both have episodes where the crew ages.
Oh yeah.
And same thing, same kind of makeup.
What did you think of Noomi Rapace? I think that's how you say her name. She was the main character.
Yeah, let's talk about her.
I know her from the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo movies, the Swedish versions.
Okay, that's who it was. Yeah.
And she is a good actress.
She's
but
good.
It was just
an odd casting
choice.
Character.
Yeah.
It was odd casting all the way around.
The part where I rolled my eyes was where her and her douchebag boyfriend, I didn't like him at all.
They didn't match up at all. He's like this...
He's kind of like a jock scientist or something.
Yeah, it's like the standard casting for our times. You know, this, toothy grinned...
He's too good looking.
Pretty boy, yeah.
Too butch, too, jockish.
I don't believe him as a serious scientist, whereas her, I believe.
Yeah, she's quirky looking, and she fits as a scientist. He does not.
And I was constantly confused by the fact that they were together.
Yeah, they didn't mesh. But they have a scene where they're talking about the big existential questions, and he says something about creating life or not being able to create life, and then suddenly she's like,
She starts crying.
Starts crying and talking about how she can't have kids, basically.
Yeah.
It felt like it was out. Yeah.
Really forced.
It felt like the writers felt like she needed to have some kind of baggage, which she already had some.
They also needed to make a point.
Yeah.
Another point about life and how we create it and how
she was unable to conceive, but then something happens. So
should we spoil that too? No, we'll leave that spoiler free.
Right.
That was actually one of the better scenes. As a tense, that was the horror element of the movie.
Oh yeah, right. The
that
surgery
whole thing
scene.
The whole thing with her. That was the horror element, and that was pretty effective. I was kind of on the edge of my seat, and there was a good bit of blood, and it was...
Yeah, you're right. That was the most tense scene, I think, out of the whole thing. Now, a scene that I thought should have been more tense, but was not, was where her boyfriend was in mid-change, and they're trying to get back on Prometheus.
Yeah.
And Charlize Theron is holding them off with a flamethrower.
Yeah.
And he's slowly walking on, trying to walk on board, knowing she's going to, blast him with the flamethrower. But it felt like it should have been more tense than it was.
It was, and when she hit him with it, it just felt like, oh, okay.
Yeah, okay, that happened.
It was a flat line.
Of course, it didn't help that we didn't care about his character. And
yeah. And then, again, that's another situation where that should have created more conflict. They should have, you should have identified, she was obviously the heroine.
Noomi Rapace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's the new Ripley, sort of.
Yeah.
Sort of. Now, who's the bad guy? Charlize Theron, Michael Fassbender, the old man. Charlize Theron, she nukes her boyfriend, and then there's no escalation of any conflict between those two.
Yeah.
Again, just a lot of faults with the script, and like I said before, either Ridley Scott or studio interference.
Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, it felt like there was too many. There were too many characters for what they were trying to achieve.
Too many faces and too few characters.
Very good. Nicely put.
Okay, folks. Well, that wraps up our review of Prometheus. Hope you enjoyed watching. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and sit here and we're going to keep talking for a few more minutes about the movie and maybe some other things film-related. If you want to watch that, we'll embed a link and head over to MagicMan's channel to watch us continue our little chat. But thanks for watching. You've been in my wacky emporium, baby.